Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar today, where we have Thomas Cameron from McKesson and David Pabst from Alithya here to present 4 engaging sessions on McKesson's journey to the cloud. Thank you for joining, and let's get started.
Welcome to the webinar. I'm Thomas Cameron, Senior Director of Enterprise Financial Solutions at McKesson, and we're going to be walking you through our servers to Stratosphere presentation today about moving from on-prem to the cloud with Oracle EPM Cloud. So we'll introduce you to our crew, then we'll talk about how we envisioned the mission. We'll talk about how we built the rocket ship and our cloud solutions, and then what we've learned as a part of that movement to the cloud and what our next missions and next steps are in our journey to the cloud. As I said, I'm Thomas Cameron with McKesson, Senior Director, Enterprise Financial Solutions. I've been with McKesson for about 5 years now. I've been in the Oracle EPM space for over 17 years now. I spent over a dozen years in consulting, focused on finance transformation and across the enterprise performance management suite. For those that don't know McKesson's a diversified healthcare leader. We touch every aspect of health. We're best known for our pharmaceutical distribution business, where we support over a third of all medicine distribution in North America. In fact, during the COVID time, we were the sole distributor for the government of the COVID vaccine. We also focus on making sure patients have access and are able to afford the prescriptions and medicines that they need and supply medical and surgical supplies. There's a variety of ways that we focus on all patient health at McKesson. Probably the last way I would call out and really highlight is that our U.S. oncology network, and we treat approximately 15% of all new cancer patients through our U.S. oncology network on an annual basis.
Thomas, thank you for joining me today on this webinar. We've been lucky to work together for the last couple of years on this voyage to the Oracle Cloud. My name is David Pabst. I'm a director here at Alithya. We're a Oracle business applications consultancy. I'm the head of EPM pre-sales here, and I get to work with companies like McKesson. My background, I was out in the field. I used to run financial systems team out in retail, where I got my start, and then have been doing EPM solution design for the past 13 years at Alithya. And fun fact about me, I wrote a book on the best practices that CFOs should follow when deploying a new budgeting and planning system. And Alithya is a leader in digital transformation. We do all manner of business and IT consulting. We have thousands of successful projects, and what really makes us special are 8 Oracle ACEs. And our 8 Oracle ACEs help benefit all of our company or all of our clients and work very closely with our customers. And as I was saying, in our Oracle practice, we really focus on one thing, which is Oracle business applications. So Oracle Cloud ERP, Cloud HCM, and what we're focused on today, Cloud Enterprise Performance Management.
So now I'm going to walk you through our envisioning of the mission. So when we started thinking about our on-prem to cloud migration. So our legacy Oracle footprint, it included a number of the common EPM products you'd see. We had HFM from an on-prem perspective, a number of different Hyperion planning cubes and applications. We had several different Essbase cubes. We were using FDMEE for integrations from our various ERP resources that we have, which cover the gamut of SAP, JDE, NetSuite. One thing I'll point out is DRM, we did have on-prem. We were only using it to manage our HFM master data, and that has been a big change for us as we move to the cloud and using EDM across all of our cloud solutions. So our primary business objective when we were moving to the cloud was upgrading our aging solutions. Most of our solutions had been around for more than 10 years from an on-prem perspective, so we were needing to redesign our solutions anyway. And with the changes in cloud technology and the end of life from an on-prem perspective, our real focus was let's get into the latest technology. We could also benefit from speed and accuracy and additional functionality that comes out regularly as a part of those SaaS products. Once we got to the cloud, and you'll hear in our story, is we were focused on as I mentioned, redesigning our solutions that have been around for more than 10 years and really looking at our forecast process solutions and FP&A solutions and re-engineering and redesigning those with leading practice. And then adopting driver base and some of the other functionality that was available in the cloud that we were not utilizing from an on-prem perspective. We started about 5 years ago with what we called an FRDA program. So that was financial reporting data architecture. It was really focused on in speeding improving the speed and transparency in our financial reporting. Some of it was really around governance. During that time, we defined our process for requesting and approving new company codes, new accounts, new cost centers, profit centers. We closed 40% of the cost centers that we had across McKesson during that governance and during the FRDA program. We also reduced the number of cost center requests on a monthly basis by over 90%. We knew before we went to the cloud with new solutions across McKesson, we needed to set the foundation, and some of those included that governance process, as well as a new consolidated enterprise chart of accounts design. As a part of the FRDA program, we started with our on-prem to cloud migration, and then during this program, we finished our migration to the cloud. So our implementation of FCCS to replace HFM was kind of our final step in this program. So we'll talk more about that a little later. Right now, we have kind of transitioned from that FRDA program, which was really focused on foundational elements and getting over to the cloud, to a digital finance transformation. We're focusing on data liquidity and getting into further details and more granular data sets that we don't have today just from our regular EPM solutions. We're also spending a lot of our time on FP&A modernization, so forecast process redesigns, implementing driver-based forecasting, and we'll talk more about where we are in that journey. Before we made the move to go from on-prem to the cloud, we did assess all the different major products out there from an EPM perspective, the ones that you would normally hear about. And what we came down to is Oracle was the right choice for us. We had institutional knowledge at McKesson. Most of my team has over 10 years experience with Oracle EPM products. There's a wide partner network in Oracle. So obviously we work with Alithya for all of our Oracle support needs. But if there's ever any questions that our team has and we try and solve stuff individually in-house, there's plenty of blogs, there's the Oracle support network, and a lot of different areas to find solutions or other workarounds to challenges you may have. And I think, as everyone that would be on this webcast is aware, Oracle's a leader in the space for EPM, has been for a number of years. And then there's a few other benefits we get, obviously, with the bundled products and the simplified licensing that's available now with EPM Cloud, and then the user interface being consistent across all the products.
And to build what Thomas was saying about how they came to choose Oracle Cloud Enterprise Performance Management. If you've never heard of it, it is a set of business applications for accounting and finance to basically manage the close to report process and the report to forecast process. And what's beautiful about it is licensed, and you pay basically by the number per user per month. It's very simple billing. And in your bundle, you get access to just a breadth of different capabilities. And so even the largest corporations like McKesson, it takes a while for them to figure out and deploy and use the different capabilities that are within the platform. So a quick overview of the Oracle Cloud Enterprise Performance Management. When you subscribe to it, you get a set of applications that run the gamut from account reconciliation, tax provisioning, supporting transfer pricing with the enterprise profitability tool, supporting your financial close. So one of the first projects that McKesson did was to transition from their legacy HFM application to support their external reporting process to the new financial close and consolidation cloud product, planning using zero-based budgeting, all manner of long-range planning, and so on. So there's just a breadth of different capabilities. And as Thomas had mentioned, all the different components have a common user interface. You can use the web. You can use the Microsoft Office tools with the SmartView add-in. They share data and metadata so that you can make one change using the enterprise data management tool, and it federates out to all the different components. And it's all hosted on Oracle's cloud infrastructure, which is secure and always up. So the guiding principles for a project like this, I always like to say it is really important to create a set of guiding principles, and especially in a large organization, when you're deploying products like this, there's a million different things you can do. And so what's important is to always have that Rosetta Stone that the project can go back to. So as we kick this off with McKesson, one of the first things we did was say, hey, whenever we get into a tough spot on this project, let's have that constitution that we can come back to. So things like, focusing on what always matters. Let's automate the minutia. Let's get away from people loading data from spreadsheets into these different tools. From a business process, let's try to make it easy on the interim months. So, we want to have a light, heavy process. So, we really focus on our quarterly forecasting process and try to take some of the load off of accounting and finance on the off months. We need to, support our regulatory and internal controls processes. We want to set the stage that anything we do within this platform, if we're going to invest the time and effort to deploy a new business process, let's build something that can scale and support us over the next couple of years. And sometimes that's, getting people to think a little bit outside of what their jobs are today and, how their spreadsheets work today, and think about, what if this business process I'm developing, what if we expand it to another product line or another part of the business? So always keeping an eye to make sure that we're building expandable and scalable business applications. And then across the whole organization, we don't want to build silos. We want to break down those silos with the dawn of cloud-based planning and forecasting tools. So being able to share data between different groups within the organization, letting the tool model versus having it locked in people's spreadsheets. So to make a long story short, we set a guiding principles, and it really came back to being able to support standardization and centralization of the business process, so the business could be more effective. So where did we start? The broad vision, I would describe how McKesson went through the process as a lift, shift, and then transform. And, the different approaches people take, as Thomas had mentioned, there was a install base of the prior generation of these products within McKesson. So they were using HFM for their close, they were using DRM for their master data management, they were using bits and pieces of Hyperion planning and Hyperion Essbase. And so with the Oracle Cloud, the focus was, hey, let's get off of the legacy servers and software and get away from managing software and upgrades and operating systems and servers. And let's just get what we have up into the cloud. And then from there, we can enhance our different applications, and then we can build new business capabilities leveraging the cloud. And so that's what we did. So it's really been a journey over the past two and a half years. So step one was taking the Hyperion Essbase cubes, moving them up to the Oracle Cloud, and that really gave Thomas's team an opportunity to learn how the Oracle Cloud works, get comfortable with it, and from a user perspective, it was really, a non-event, so they could continue to run their reports and continue to work with the SmartView Office add-in. The next thing that we did was to convert HFM to financial close, so that was a bigger, exercise. It did include the business to, revisit their business process and take a fresh look at how their close and external reporting application worked. And then as we sort of proceeded past the corporate applications, really where we have been working for the past year is one of McKesson's business units that they call MSurge or MMS, which is a distributor of medical products, decided to build out a connected planning vision. So we've been helping them, build through the different components of their connected planning, from core reporting and forecasting to driver-based planning, working through their labor forecasting. And then over time, we have a roadmap and a vision where we're going to work them through different components from labor planning, variable labor planning, their allocated P&Ls, product profitability, and then ultimately long-range planning for their C-suite. Welcome to part 2 of our webinar, From Servers to the Stratosphere, McKesson's Journey to the Cloud. In part 2, we're going to talk about how we built the rocket and implemented Oracle Cloud Enterprise Performance Management at McKesson. As we described in the first part of the webinar, it was a several phase project which we would describe as lift, shift, and then transform. And really the idea was, hey, let's get the organization familiar with the Oracle Cloud. Let's take our existing applications to the cloud. And one of the things that really made this easy is a recent addition to the Oracle Cloud suite, which is called Freeform. And Freeform allows us to take legacy Hyperion Essbase cubes in their standard dimensionality, in their natural dimensionality, and bring them up into the Oracle Cloud, and then allow users to continue to interact with them with their Smart View queries and their reports and so on. And so step one was really to just take their applications as they were, get them into the cloud. Step 2 was more of a business-facing application to revise the close-to-report process, which is transitioning from HFM to FCC. And if you can imagine, for one of the largest companies in the United States with several different business lines, this was a very large, complex project to re-envision how the organization was going to do its close and consolidation process using a new technology tool. And from there, we moved on to deploying connected planning to the first business unit in the McKesson organization called MMS, which is a medical distributor. And so over the past year and a half, we've been working through developing a driver-based planning process that allowed the organization to plan everything from sales, cost of sales, vendor rebates, OPEX, and so on. And if you think about the business process in a large organization like McKesson, it's really an iterative process. And one of the things I think Thomas and his team brought to the table was setting that expectation with the business users that we're going to model different capabilities. We're going to come and solicit your feedback, and then we're going to constantly iterate and improve the product until we get to a place that meets the majority of your needs. And using the cloud, it is very dynamic, and it allows us to iterate very quickly and change things and spin up new versions of the applications and have a flexibility that we might not have had in the on-premises legacy world. So some of the things that we the process that we took was really a flywheel, which was, hey, let's design something, let's play back that design, let's model it in the application, let's build it out, and then let's come back to you as business user and review it and gain your feedback. And so we actually had these review cycles every week to 2 weeks across the different components, different work streams, so that we got that constant feedback. And one of the things that people are shocked with as they move to the Oracle Cloud is, yes, you have your legacy tools like Smart View, reports, parameter-based reports, but there's a whole new world of an interactive user experience where you can build out very easy to understand, almost like iPad applications for planning, budgeting, and forecasting. And so a lot of it is very visual. What do users want to see when they enter the system? Do they see a dashboard? What actions do they take from there? And so there's very much a business modeling component, a data modeling, but also like, what do the users see and experience when they're using a cloud-like application like this? So my big takeaway and what we really were successful at McKesson is that iterative, constant feedback loop from the business as we were deploying these tools.
The one question I get asked a lot is, how long did this take you at McKesson to go from on-prem to the cloud? So as you look at this timeline, I mentioned the FRDA program starting about 5 years ago. Is back in 2020, we decided to upgrade to 11.2 for our on-prem, and that set the stage for, we know it's going to be a journey to get to the cloud, and before we can decommission our on-prem servers and really set it in an archive read-only state from a historical data perspective. So that was kind of our foundational step from an on-prem, so that we did not have to worry about end of life or patching as frequently with that as we went through the journey. In 2021, we decided to get a small number of licenses to get our team comfortable with the new cloud. And we actually built out a CFO reporting solution within the cloud. This was really providing some insight and transparency into the GL account level, GL cost centers that we didn't have in our HFM application, but how they mapped into our consolidated results. So it was kind of a test case for us and a proof of concept on the cloud, and also getting our team, our admin team, familiar with the cloud and its capabilities and the things we need to be familiar with before we made the full move to the cloud. As we got comfortable with that, we made the decision, okay, we're ready to get started. We're ready to move all of our on-prem applications that are existing to the cloud. We started with Alithya in January of 2022, and we had all of our planning and Essbase applications ready in the cloud in 3 months. It was really a remarkable timeline that I was completely surprised by, because you have to rebuild all the integrations, some of the calculations you have to rebuild as well in the new scripting. But we were able to take what we had on-prem and have all those integrations and other things done working with Alithya in 3 months time and have that ready. Now, the final step of our on-prem to cloud journey, just getting off on-prem, was HFM to FCCS. We did spend 18 months on that piece. The reason it took so long for that piece is we had designed a new enterprise chart of accounts. We were remapping all of our GL accounts to that new enterprise chart of accounts. So there was a long timeline of data validation that we went through. The solution itself and the capabilities could have been delivered much sooner. In fact, we went through 5 different parallel testing cycles to make sure the business was comfortable with the new consolidation solutions. You can't just cut over your external reporting numbers if everyone's not comfortable that those numbers are meeting expectations and aligning with the numbers you expect to report. It also allowed us to deliver some additional functionality that we had not originally planned to go live with when we went from HFM to FCCS. Also, HFM to FCCS is not just a lift and shift the way it's possible with the planning and Essbase solutions. So we did go live with FCCS in 2023. And then at that time, we started our focus on the MedSurg business unit and the forecast process redesign. So this is, now we're taking those planning and Essbase solutions that we have today and re-envisioning how to redesign them and deploy them to be more effective and more leading practice solutions for our businesses.
Thanks, Thomas. As one of the areas that we briefly discussed was a new feature that Oracle introduced in the past year or two called Freeform. This is a really powerful capability. McKesson had several Hyperion Essbase, ASO, and BSO cubes. So if you're a legacy Hyperion Essbase shop, if you're looking for a quick way to start using the Oracle EPM Cloud without a lot of friction to your users, Freeform is a very powerful capability, which lets you basically export your Essbase, BSO, or ASO applications and bring them into the Oracle Cloud, essentially as is. There is still some work to rebuild integrations using new integration techniques. But at McKesson, we were able to take a standalone Essbase ASO cube with its existing dimensionality. So just taking it, exporting it, and then importing it into the Oracle EPM Cloud. And from there, we really get the ability to, layer in all the features that come with the planning platform. So once you bring in your legacy application, you get access to reports, dashboards, all the user interface components, and then you can, use that data to feed it out into other Oracle EPM Cloud applications.
I mentioned before that now in our journey, we're going through a forecast process redesign and deploying new FP&A solutions for the business focused on the forecast process. Historically, we have a lot of bottoms-up manual forecasting. And so we're moving to a 3-tier forecasting process where we establish a baseline. Then we have identified drivers and we're applying drivers, and then making adjustments if necessary, and then layering on any additional business initiatives to the forecast to come up with our final forecast. Within the EPM Cloud solution, there's a workflow that we built out to guide the user through this process. As you think about your regular forecasting process, you load in the actuals, and then you want to do a review of how those current month actuals compare to what you forecasted and prior month actuals. And so the first step is really the review process. The next step is setting the baseline. So, are you looking at a 12-month trend? Are you looking at a 3-month trend? Are you applying seasonality to it? Establishing that baseline at the levels within your customer and products that makes sense. And then once you set the baseline, then you're going to go through a process of applying your drivers that you've identified for the business and setting those at certain levels and then having those flow down. And then once you get through that, you're going to review your forecast and look at the impact of the baseline and drivers and make any adjustments where you may see at lower levels that as you kind of play around and see what would be the impact of the drivers and the baseline. And then ultimately at the end, any major business initiatives you have within your business that you wouldn't see from a historical, kind of baseline and trend perspective that you're aware of. And then you go through a final review of the forecast to get comfortable with it before you submit it up to your CFO and for us from our business units to our corporate group. And so the cloud solutions allowed us to apply this new methodology in our process, get instant feedback for our FP&A teams as they go through the process and see the different components of the forecast. What is driving the different forecast differences, whether it's the baseline that they're setting, what portion is drivers or, and the different drivers, whether it's a growth driver or seasonality based, what portion is initiative based that's impacting that forecast, and being able to break that out and analyze that and get it done so much quicker than they did in the past. And so now they have more time to spend with their business partners and understanding any material changes to the business that are going on in the market.
The benefits that Thomas is describing, how do we do that with the Oracle EPM Cloud? In the MMS business unit, or sometimes we call it MedSurg, is, I believe, a $12 to $13 billion business in and of itself. Within McKesson, that's small, but within the broader world, that's a big company, big organization in and of itself. And we had great sponsorship within the MedSurg business unit at McKesson, and they really said, hey, how do we, set ourselves up for growth over the next couple of years? How do we build a best-in-class planning and budgeting and reporting application? And so the Oracle EPM Cloud is modular, so it lets us set up different components over time. When you're ready to build a new component, it's really as easy as just pressing a button and getting a new area to set up your business process. So the vision here is really to have within the business unit common reporting, dashboards, and visualization. So that's using the Oracle Narrative Reporting, SmartView, the Dashboard Builder, the User Interface Builder, so that when users are across the MedSurg business unit are interacting with the tool, it all looks like it's one application. But below it, we can tailor different parts of the P&L or different parts of the balance sheet to different parts of the different groups within the organization. And so this is a pretty long, pretty big vision with a lot of different components, but essentially we have our core planning. So that's where our P&L and balance sheet come together. That's where people probably spend the majority of their time when you're looking to pull data and, do your standardized management reporting deck. Feeding into that, there's two components of labor within a distribution business like MedSurg. You have your fixed labor, but there's also a big variable labor component. So in the future, we're going to anticipate building a variable labor component based on demand. So if shipments and sales are going to pick up, we have to increase staffing within the distribution centers and transportation network to support that growth. Certainly want to support long-range planning for the C-level suite within the organization. And then ultimately, being able to generate fully allocated P&Ls to say, what's the true cost of delivering services to different groups of clients, different types of products within the organization, so that the organization can make strategic decisions around, hey, do we go after different parts of our client base and who's the most profitable products, services, or clients for customers for our organization. And feeding into this whole process, and where we spent a good amount of time, is really around the margin planning part of the business, feeding in daily sales into the process and being able to plan the baseline, the growth factors like inflation or flu or sickness across the world, and then different business initiatives like introducing a new product. And so really we've probably spent 70% of our time around the margin planning process that feeds into the broader P&L process. And then over time, we'd like to get down to the point where we can actually take, the cost of the organization, what we've planned, and actually potentially, allocate back down to, the SKU level, product or SKU level, to see, what products are really profitable for the organization. Lastly, it's all managed in one pane of glass. So the enterprise data management tool allows us to have a shared set of master data with the McKesson corporate in that new chart of accounts that Thomas had mentioned, as well as helping with maintain the mappings and the crosswalks between some of MMS's operational systems like JD Edwards, Workday, and Snowflake.
And now we're going to take you through section 3 of our webinar, the Blastoff portion. So talking through some of the benefits that we've started to realize and will continue to realize as we move forward. A couple of things I would highlight, and we call to the top here, that you may not think about naturally as you think about moving to the cloud, is we had a big reduction in our SOX controls and responsibilities with the cloud. Previously, I was responsible for all the SOX controls and audit requests when it came to our on-prem databases and environments and access to those databases, who had admin access, and providing all the support to auditors and our internal auditors for testing purposes. And I no longer have to do that. We have a SOC 1 and a SOC 2 report. With it being a SaaS solution, it's removed that responsibility from me. The simplified licensing and total cost of ownership, we no longer have licenses across the various different products. And with our business, we have a number of different solutions that individual users will use, whether it's the FCCS application and as well as multiple different, planning or other FP&A based solutions that we have. And so once we have that single license for that user, they can have access to any number of the solutions we have built out. We also have the ability to build out and use all the different Oracle Cloud EPM products. So if we have a need for tax reporting, as an example, I don't have to worry about going out and getting new licensing for that or standing up a new environment for that in the same way you would from an on-prem perspective. With it being the same technology used for consolidation and planning, there's a number of members of our team who previously did not work heavily with HFM from a consolidations perspective. Today, they provided a lot of different support for HFM. So we're able to leverage our team across the solutions and have backups and jump in and help when we have capacity constraints due to close or other project initiatives that are going on. As you know, there's constantly rolling out with new functionality in the cloud. One thing I would highlight around reporting that we've used a lot of is the ability to provide flux commentary. So all of our monthly flux commentary on, variances from year to year or across month or forecast to actual variances, we are doing systematically in the cloud. With the narrative reporting solution, it has really changed the game for us in our flux reporting. Our external reporting team used to have to put together, let's call it 50 different Excel templates just for P&L flux reporting on a monthly basis, that different business units would have to open up, refresh, input their flux commentary, and then our external reporting team would have to try and consolidate all that. Now it's a single report that our team manages, and you simply toggle the point of view on the business unit that you need to enter the commentary for. And we do this across balance sheet and cash flow as well. We also leverage that commentary for our allocation reporting out of our corporate FP&A solution. So we provide a report book to our different business units and the allocations that we're sending out on a monthly basis. And then we have explanations in there of what's driving the allocations, what's the allocation methodology, and why that allocation may have increased. So we're able to do that systematically and have users work within the reporting solution to do that. And then there's a number of other benefits that we gain just from a speed, efficiency perspective, and then some of the business collaboration that we get as well. What we want to highlight on this side is really from our forecast process redesign. It's specific to that process. Because we were doing a lot of bottoms up planning, we were spending a large portion of our time just setting the baseline. So, okay, I want to run rate, this forecast out based on based on the last 12 months, or I want to take the most recent, 3 months of data or most recent month of data and run that forward. So we estimated approximately 30% of our time was just developing the baseline. With the new solution, probably takes about 5% of our time. You have the actuals in, we have the baseline set. Once you set them, you don't expect the baseline methodology for each product customer to change much over the course of a year. In fact, most cases it doesn't change over the course of a year, and so then the system's able to set that baseline for you. Because we would take so long with the baseline, we didn't have as much time for evaluating the different assumptions in the model, the different drivers or material business changes. Now we can spend more time on what are the key drivers to our business? How do we really see those drivers changing at what levels? What other material business impacts do we see that we need to account for in our forecast, and spend more time in that part of the forecasting process. You'll see on the left that we would spend 40% of our time just consolidating the data and reporting it. And this is across McKesson. There are a number of different areas where just trying to pull all the information together from a number of offline processes to then upload to our solutions. There was just a lot of time consolidating, reporting that data. That takes us effectively about 5%. The system has the calculations in place today. We have the review forms for the team to review a number of different standardized reports. And so they're not having to spend time just kind of pulling everything together. And now we have a lot more time for reviewing that forecast and reviewing it internally and just making sure that everything meets our expectations, but then also reviewing it with our different stakeholders and talking through the assumptions in the model and making sure that our forecast is the most accurate it can be based on current business information and knowledge.
So what are some key takeaways you as a listener can take to your transition to the Oracle Cloud Enterprise Performance Management Suite? In one of the prior sessions, we talked about having a set of guiding principles. One of the things that Thomas and his team really helped make this project successful was from day one, when we talked with the business and our sponsors and what it's going to be like adopting these different tools and adopting new business process, is really communicating that this is all new. There's no possible way to get everything perfect, new business process, new models, new data, on our first try. And so from knowing that, from day one, we set a business process and a development process where it was going to be iterative, that we were very much going to build something, show it, get feedback, make it better, and work that process until we got to a point that everyone felt really good. And so, takeaways that you can bring to your own project: strive for improvement, right? Not perfection. From day one, explain to everyone, hey, we're going to set this up and you're going to use it for a little bit. And then, we can take that feedback and we can make it better. With that, embrace the change and accept that change takes time, right? New tools, new business process, pulling, modeling out from people's spreadsheets into an application that can automate much of the rudimentary work and shift your work to focusing on what's changing in the business. That's different for people, and that can make people uncomfortable. Again, on the transition from HFM to the close and consolidation tool, it looks different, it feels different, it works differently. That takes time for the people that are responsible for the close process and external reporting to get comfortable with. So, and ultimately, not everything that the team does, we're going to go down a path and say, hey, let's try modeling things, one way or this other way, or, what grain of data, or, let's try pulling in data from, our different different systems and find out either the data is not clean or we don't have the data or etc. So accept those failures and move on. And I always like to say, if you can fail quick, it's better for everyone. And then always, if you can get the sponsorship from the right the CFO or the right CEO of your organization, say, hey, this is really going to change how accounting and finance operates. It's going to make things better and allow us to focus on advising the business more than just updating spreadsheets. Can really help make this project move forward if the organization knows that the executives are truly behind it.
And now we're going to finish up our webcast with our next mission. So what is next in our journey to the cloud? So the driver-based forecasting, I spent some time talking about, this is just our next step in our forecast process modernization efforts. We really, from a long-term perspective, are expecting to utilize the predictive forecasting capabilities that are out there. We know that they're out there, but there is a lot of change management and just transforming from bottoms-up planning today to driver-based methodology and getting the business comfortable with that, as we walk and start to run our way towards predictive forecasting. We started to pilot some of that, and even the out-of-the-box capabilities from Oracle, some parts of our business really align very well with the predictive forecasts that are out there. We have to, continue to get the business and our finance teams to trust those models. So run those over a period of times and further refine those models. And then there are other areas of the business where we might be able to use the predictive forecasting for some of the baselining, but then there'll be more adjustments that are needed. But that is our future vision, is more of the predictive forecasting that's already available in the market, but it's just a change management strategy and timeline for us here at McKesson. In addition to what we're doing from just a forecast process redesign, we focused on the med-surg business unit as our starting point for really these new forecast process solutions, but we'll be expanding that across the McKesson enterprise and our different business units, and then looking at the new capabilities from a forecasting perspective. We have, the margin planning just went live with that for med-surg, and currently working on the core planning build. Next steps would be around the variable labor planning. We do have a workforce planning model in place today, but it is focused on the fixed labor. So looking at that variable labor planning, some additional capabilities for med-surg. And as I mentioned, beyond just the driver-based planning and next steps from an operational and predictive perspective, we like to dip our toe in on a lot of these items and do some proof of concepts to really get ourselves as an admin team kind of comfortable with the capabilities, but then also get the business comfortable with what's possible and what they may be willing to accept as we move forward with the changes. And all of this brings us to some key benefits for our finance team and in working with our business partners. So increasing their speed of decision making. So having more data more readily available, being able to get through their processes to reporting and review and analysis quicker is one of the key benefits. And that gives them more capacity to spend more time with the business on what are the assumptions in the model, what are the material changes that are going on in the business, and really understanding what drives our business, our profitability, and how to work with our business with some insights and ideas to improve that. I mentioned driving the transparency in the numbers. It's not always easy, especially as you get executives who want access and understanding in the more granular detail, and making sure they understand what those numbers mean when you get into the lower level of detail. And then ultimately improving the accuracy of our forecast. The forecast is not meant to be a minimum threshold to meet. We do not set our forecast so that we can overachieve and all celebrate that, but actually forecast more accurately so we can make better allocation of our capital and better business decisions as we think about the future of our business. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us on the webcast. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy for you guys to reach out to myself or Alithya. Be happy to answer more questions about our journey to the cloud. Thank you.
This wraps up today's webinar. We hope you found this session insightful, and if you're interested in contacting us or learning about other events or checking out our resources, please visit us at alithya.com.